There are so many video games I know that are great, IPs that people love, games I want to love, but I cannot click with them. In the past, I've judged myself because of this. What is wrong with me? Why am I not enjoying this widely recommended popular franchise? Am I really so narrow-minded, or perhaps brain-rotted, that I can't sit through more than 2 hours of this game? But sometimes I keep pushing. I keep returning to some of those games that I want to like, and guess what? Eventually I end up finishing and loving them. All these popular games that you and I just can't seem to get into aren't bad. There's a reason why they're critically acclaimed or have a large following, so we can't pin that down to a quality issue. Sometimes it all comes down to timing, to the headspace we're in, or the way we're approaching these games. When I say I played a game at the wrong time, I don't mean I was busy or distracted, but rather I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't able to comply with what the game demanded of me. Some games demand patience from you. Like, it's not a great thing, but sometimes the writing or gameplay doesn't get fully going early on. There needs to be time for it to be established. I've played many masterpieces that feel slow or boring in the beginning simply because it's either laying down the lore or it's a tutorial stage. The best example that comes to mind is something like Red Dead 2, which is often critiqued for the Coulter chapter. I've spoken to friends who genuinely never got through the game because they dropped it during chapter 1, and can I really blame them? It's the only time in the game where pretty much all the open world is locked off from you, and the writing isn't anything crazy at that point because it needs time to build up. Sometimes you're just not ready to dedicate time to something that doesn't immediately hook you. Maybe in a few months or years' time, you'll be ready to pick up where you left off and truly invest yourself into potential peak. Burnout can also play a huge role into whether something clicks. I think 95% of us have felt burnout from gaming at some point. I know I experience it every few months, whether it just be a week of not feeling like playing anything or a bit longer. Sometimes burnout doesn't apply to every genre either. Like, I won't feel like playing any RPGs or stories, but I'd become obsessed with a strategy game. My go-tos being Stellaris and Crusader Kings, if you're wondering. I made a video a while back about battling burnout and beating your backlog if you're interested in that. But one of the things I concluded was that burnout is inevitable and often not able to be forced out of your mind. Sometimes you just have to accept that gaming has to be put on hold for a bit, rather than digging yourself deeper into that hole. There are games that I know I'd love. Maybe the atmosphere seems up my alley, or the universe it's set in, but when it comes to playing said games, I just don't enjoy myself, and a lot of the time it's because I'm not taking the right approach with them. Let's talk about my long and treacherous journey of getting into Remedy games, and specifically Control. It's been something I've wanted to beat since it came out in 2019. I only happened to finish it mid-2025. That's 6 years and multiple restarts. I'd get 2 or 3 hours through the main story, drop it, then come back a year later and experience the exact same thing. Control is by no means a long game, but those first few hours I'd play would bore me to death. The problem was that Control was my first Remedy game. All these years, I wasn't familiar with what Remedy wants from its players. They're super heavy on the lore, the world building, and a lot of that information and knowledge is technically optional. Sometimes you have to go out of your way to get it too, like going down a route that the game doesn't verbally ask you to do. But while all these text documents, audio logs, and movies are optional side content that you can completely skip past, it's not optional. If you don't engage with the side content, you're going to experience a very bland game. So even though I enjoyed the combat, I thought the setting was cool, I didn't ever understand what made it cool other than the surface level context I had. I didn't understand the story. I didn't care about the different artifacts. I didn't understand why anything was happening. In 2024, I was looking for story games to play in bed on my Steam Deck, and I ended up going for Alan Wake. This time though, I approached a Remedy game in the right way. I read everything. I watched the TV segments. After each play session, I'd reflect for a few minutes. I watched multiple video essays after finishing the game to better understand it. Alan Wake is not revolutionary from a gameplay standpoint, but when you have all the context you need, the gameplay doesn't matter because this is now not a video game. It's an experience. It's a story being told to you. Once I understood what Remedy was all about, I went back to Control with a completely different mindset, and this time it finally clicked. I explored every nook and cranny. I read all the documents I could find, even the boring ones. I treated the world like the main focus, not the gameplay, not the story. And this time I finished it purely because of how much fun and interest I was getting out of figuring this place out, seeing all the experiments and research they were doing. Control is basically Half-Life 3. To this day, I still think about certain locations and set pieces from that game. It went from something that put me to sleep to something I look back on really fondly. Control fans, let me know if I should play the DLCs. So this is what I mean when I say that certain games demand a certain mindset from you. From Software's games were a similar but different story. The first few times I tried Dark Souls, I could not care about it. I thought it felt clunky, I didn't connect with the world, the main story was nowhere to be found. It just didn't do anything for me. Over time, however, my taste started to change. I began gravitating towards fiction about darker, grimier fantasy worlds. And when I finally came back to Dark Souls 1 with that mindset and that new love for this theme, I loved Dark Souls 1. But Dark Souls didn't change. I did. But we can't rule out something, and you're probably not gonna want to hear this. Not every game that doesn't click with you needs a mindset change or a replay in the future. Some games just aren't for you, and they potentially never will be. Coming back to the same game you dislike won't always suddenly click for you. Sometimes it does, and I have provided personal examples of that. But sometimes you're just forcing yourself to like something that you don't want or can't like. Just a random recent example, I've been trying to get into Kingdom Hearts really bad recently. I hear about how beloved and life-changing it is, but I just don't get this one. Maybe it's because I didn't grow up with it. I don't have those same memories of it as a kid like others do. The story is nice, but it doesn't interest me enough to keep going. The gameplay is surprisingly neat, but not addicting. Seeing a crossover of Disney characters makes me smile, but it's not enough. I'm not at all throwing shade at Kingdom Hearts. I just regret that I can't feel what some of you guys feel. Maybe one day it will click, but I have to accept that it also might not. You don't need to force yourself through every universally loved game just to say you did it. Games are meant to be enjoyed. You're meant to have a good time. And if you're not, it's fine to put it down for now. Maybe you'll feel like coming back to it later. If not, move on to something else in your backlog, or replay an old favorite instead. That's all I have to say. I know this video was shorter and a bit different from what I usually post, but I've been kinda busy with other things, and I'm sure I'll continue being busy for the next month or so due to me procrastinating my schoolwork, but I'm gonna keep trying to pump these videos out for you. Just expect them to be on the shorter end if sometimes I can't make enough time for content creation. Again, if you're interested in taking down that backlog, do check out my video on it. I still stand by everything I said there, and I try to apply it to myself constantly. I'm gonna clock out now. See ya.